We've said that civil war is coming to the West, both the UK, the United States, and even Canada. Countries are at the brink of violence, political violence from one party against the other, and we've been warning about this for quite some time. And now we're seeing it is now happening. We're going to be talking about some of the incidents that have happened over the past week because they truly are eye-opening. Now, you may have heard a little bit here, a little bit there, but I'm going to try to tie this all together so you can see that this is a pattern of political violence. It is terrorism meant to silence opposition and to make us shut up and go away. Friends, that's not going to happen. This channel is still going to be here. Other channels on YouTube as well as other locations on the internet are going to keep speaking out the truth. And because people like you want to hear the truth. You want to hear it and you are seeking it out on the internet. And I have no doubt in my mind that if I get booted off this platform, that I would find many of you on other platforms because you're still looking for the truth. All right, friends, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of incidents, a lot of attacks that we need to talk about. And we're going to be tying it back to who's funding these attacks. What's really going on behind the scenes. And we have the receipts. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, but a news person by calling, I guess you could say. The audience and the people out there at large have chosen to use this platform and this community to get the news out of what needs to happen. So grateful to all the watchmen who have joined and are part of this community. All right, a lot of these attacks recently have focused in on one specific person, the richest person in the world, Elon Musk. Now, I know some of you guys still don't like the dude. Some of you guys think he's the Antichrist, and maybe you're right. I don't know. All I know is that he's kind of on our team right now. He's cleaning up the federal government. I know he's won a lot of you guys over because he's made a lot of sacrifices. And he's convinced our opponents out there that he is definitely not on their team, and he's definitely against them. So much so that they have started to ramp up their attacks on him personally and his businesses. We have cyber trucks being attacked all over the United States. We have cyber trucks being spray painted down in Florida, in Seattle, Linwood. Basically, they found parking lots full of cyber trucks and went and spray painted them. Now, stainless steel, spray painted, I mean, it can come off, but that's a lot of work. If you're looking for ideas for community service for these people, they should be given a toothbrush and they should have to clean up their mess. These people think that they can do this as political speech, and no, you cannot vandalize property. You cannot destroy things in your protests. That becomes illegal. Not only that, but they've also been burning cyber trucks, setting them on fire in Seattle, in Canada, because they're apparently not allowed to burn stuff or to use boomsticks. They have been going around stabbing cyber trucks' tires and scraping them with knives. So this has happened in several locations in Canada in the recent weeks. But it's not just cyber it's also superchargers. They set a whole block of superchargers on fire just outside Boston, Massachusetts. These environmentalists are polluting the atmosphere by setting things on fire and destroying things and making it so that more will have to be manufactured. Definitely not good for the environment. I mean, aren't people driving around electric cars exactly what these environmentalists wanted? Well, no, they wanted you to adhere to their political ideology. They didn't really care about the environment ever. And that is so very clear. Also, they've been attacking and taking over showrooms in Manhattan as well as other locations. And even on camera, admitting that they are actually being paid to do this. And you may go, who is paying them? And my friends, that is exactly the right question to be asking. The answer to that has been a number of political nonprofit organizations inside the United States. Nonprofit. Ugh. Feel icky even saying that because they are definitely not nonprofit. They are definitely for political ends, political purposes, being funded by Democratic contributions pushed through their Act Blue platform. They're donating to Act Blue for political stuff, and then Act Blue has been hiring protesters, demonstrators, and vandals. Now, you've seen a lot of these activities. People have done cell phone work where they were tracking people's cell phones, and they were telling us back during the political campaign that they were, these rallies that were packed out for, the Wicked Witch of the East. Oh, I guess you use the West. It's called Nancy Pelosi, the Wicked Witch of the West. But Special K had all these people showing up at her rallies. It was amazing. Until some of the sleuths on the internet started looking at the cell phone data and found that 60, 70, even 80% of some of these rallies, these people were at a previous rally 2 or 3 states over. So, and then they're like, well, how are all these people getting from one rally to the next rally? And they found all of these buses. People started noticing that all these chartered buses are showing up. And noticing that those same chartered buses were at the previous rally. They're not campaign buses. They're buses being funded by these nonprofits, funded by Democratic contributions. People were being paid to attend a rally, paid to get on the buses. The buses take them to the next rally. They get off the buses and attend the next rally. And wow, there's so many people who want to come out and see her. No. So many people like to get a paycheck. That's what. We remember several years ago, we saw all of these advertisements out there. Do you want to make $15 to $20 an hour to do, to change the world? And a bunch of people signed up for that. And what it really was they were being hired through nonprofits and distance by the Democratic National Party to do political work, to do grassroots, fake grassroots. We call it astroturfing because it's not grass, natural grass. It's astroturf. It's something that you've manufactured to make it look like all these people are showing up to these protests, to these rallies. And now these very same groups are being used and funded by Act Blue in order to protest and vandalize Elon Musk's Tesla companies. And it's not just his Tesla company. Now, I still have grave misgivings about buying electric vehicles because I live up here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where it snows. And electric vehicles don't work so well in the snow. That's just a fact. I mean, I'm not saying anything controversial there. There's plenty of videos out there of people talking about how their car didn't function very well in the cold weather. If you're in warm weather territory and you got time and money to burn to have a second or third car, well, yeah, Teslas are great for a second or third car. But most people kind of agree that Teslas are not good first cars or your only car. You need to have a reliable gasoline-powered car in your driveway as well. Now, if you're married, that can potentially work out, I guess. But anyway, if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments down below on that one. But not just Tesla being attacked, but Twitter being attacked. A massive politically motivated cyber attack launched against Twitter, which apparently used IP addresses from Ukraine. Now, again, I don't know that Ukraine is responsible for this. Could be people in Ukraine launched this cyber attack. It could be that people were trying to frame Ukraine. Now, I don't think that the U.S. intelligence agencies would want to frame Ukraine because they want the United States to be supporting them, but it could have been a major Russian attack in order to try to frame Ukraine. Or it could be just that Ukraine or the Europeans are very upset with Elon Musk, even though Elon Musk is providing massive support through Starlink access to the Ukrainian military. He may have insulted the politicians in Poland for suggesting that he was being disloyal to the people of Ukraine, and he made clear that basically the entire front line of the Ukrainian military would collapse if they lost their access to Starlink satellites. That has been one of the major technological edges that the Ukrainian military has had over the Russians. So not only that, but we've now seen that Act Blue is now under criminal investigation from state as well as federal agencies who are concerned that Act Blue is basically being a criminal organization. We may see RICO charges brought against this massive fraud organization. So there's multiple levels of issues with Act Blue. The first one is it seems to be massively money laundering from nonprofits that are getting funded by federal agencies like USAID. That USAID money going into these nonprofits, then these nonprofits then donating that money to Act Blue, which is then laundering that money by attaching it to and assigning it to very small donors inside their database, so that if you give $2 or $3 or $5, they mark it into your database as if you've given $2,000 or $3,000. And then they just spread it out over all these smaller contributions to make it much larger contributions on those parts. This has been well documented, which is massive fraud. So fraud on the fundraising side and allegedly large foreign contributions and people trying to get around the campaign finance or the campaign giving limits they're giving to nonprofits that are then giving to the Act Blue. Also, they're giving to Act Blue, and the Act Blue is laundering that money as well. But then on top of that, now we're seeing that Act Blue is also funding actual criminal activity. Now, under RICO laws, that network, basically it means that if you're part of this funding network, you're giving money to this organization, you are now participating in the crimes that this organization is doing. All the federal prosecutors need to do is show that there's enough of a linkage between the organization and the organizations that are committing these criminal activities, make sure that they can connect these organizations, and then even connect them to the donors that are giving to these causes. At which point, they can arrest everybody in the organization for the crimes that are happening, that are being funded by this organization. This could be massive. It would be the end of the Democratic Party. Let's just put it that way. Because most of their fundraisers, many of their biggest givers would be wrapped up in these criminal allegations and criminal charges. And then on top of that, this is where they get most of their money, through this money laundering organization called Act Blue. So major issues there. We got showroom attacks. We got attacks on Cybertrucks as well as other Tesla vehicles. We got fires being set on superchargers. We got all this happening. And it's not just the United States either. We have massive political prosecution and the government going after people who speak up in the UK. The UK is preparing for massive riots this summer by releasing violent criminals onto the streets to make room in their jails so that they can start arresting people for making mean Facebook posts again, for people out protesting. They want to criminalize anyone speaking against the government, just like the Canadian government They want to go after people's bank accounts. They want to go after and arrest people for speaking up, sharing politically incorrect opinions about stuff. The situation in the West is dire. The end of free speech is upon us. And while in the United States, the government itself is now being pulled back from the brink of doing this political prosecution, it is not being done so in Australia, in the United Kingdom, in South Africa, in Canada, these places, and across Europe in many of these countries. If you say something that you're not allowed to say, if you say anything that the government disagrees with, you could be criminally prosecuted. You could suffer jail terms for protesting. In Canada, as they said, you are allowed to protest as long as you don't protest the government. And you'd have to ask the question of, well, what are we allowed to protest then? If we're not allowed to protest what the government is doing, if we're not allowed to protest against government policies, is that freedom of speech at all? And the answer is no, it's not. You need to be able to protest the government itself, or it is not free speech at all. You're just part of the propaganda machine if you're only allowed to protest the things that the government wants you to protest. That's like how North Korea works. You're allowed to protest there as long as you're protesting the United States, South Korea, Christianity, anything else that the North Korean government wants you to protest. You're allowed to protest those things, and violently so, but you're not allowed to protest anything that the government. And the fact that I can sit there and draw a correlation between the Canadian government, the UK government, and the Australian government and directly tie it to North Korea's actions should tell you all you really need to know about these things. And the fact is that we have the deep state in the United States. We don't have the government itself now prosecuting free speech, but we have these organizations that are trying to do so in their place. Keep speaking out free. We're on a platform where we're not allowed to say certain things either, and it's very unclear what we're not allowed to say. And so we're always trying to figure out what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say, even here on this platform where we meet. We're doing our best, and we'll continue to try to do our best, but as I always realize, my days on this platform are almost certainly numbered. Unless Elon Musk buys YouTube, and then things could be free again. I don't know. We'll see. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right over here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.